Welcome to the ultimate Tolkien tournament. This is Middle-earth Madness. Welcome to the Final Four of the Races of Middle-earth Summer Tournament here at Middle-earth Madness. We welcome in Farmer David for some of the final fights. How you doing?
I'm doing good. Going for my dwarves. Well, my last dwarf, I guess. Balin.
Yes. Now is the time where it gets real. Balin, in fact, is the last one standing of the dwarven race, as we pull up the bracket here to show you. Balin against Faramir, our first fight of the night tonight. But before we get there, let's see how we got here. Zooming back a little bit. Chucky already mentioned, that would be Farmer David, but we affectionately call him Chucky here in the Chamber of Death. The 1 seeds faced the 8 seeds here in the top left of the bracket. I'm here on MiddleEarthMadness.com bracket tracker page. If you're following along at home, you can see the exact same thing that I see here, minus these little gray boxes to set the winners, right? So pull it up and you'll be able to click on any character and kind of see how the characters got here so far. In the case of Balin, he defeated Haldir in the first round. Nice new character there, the March Warden of Lothlorien. And then he defeated Bard of Lake Town, another 8 seed, because they're grouped, by seed in the first round. All 8 seeds are clustered together here. And then each one of those 8 seeds is a different race, right? That's how we did this whole bracket, is we grouped them by seed and by race, so that you get really even fights right from the jump, basically. So Bard had defeated Grishnak, man against orc. Balin had defeated Haldir, dwarf against elf. And then Balin defeated Bard to represent the dwarves and to represent the 8 seeds in the quarterfinal round. Then Balin fought Durin, who is the 1 seed. He, of course, had defeated Kamur the Nazgul, fellow 1 seed, and Glorfindel in the first round, so 2 heavy hitters. And then Durin was defeated by his distant cousin, or maybe no relation. I'm not sure we ever closed that one out. I don't think any relation actually to Durin, because that would be Thorin's household. Nonetheless, Balin pulled the upset as an 8 seed, and here he is in the Final Four. Much to Chucky's pleasure. Although maybe, Chucky, you would have preferred Durin to be fighting in this one.
Yeah, probably. But hey, it's fine. At least I have someone in the Final Four here.
Indeed. Faramir, meanwhile, his path, he had defeated Boromir. Nice little brother-on-brother fight we had for you in the quarterfinals. Before that, he pulled the quote-unquote upset, although 5 versus 4 there, pretty even fight, but nonetheless, he was able to slay Galadriel. And in the first round, of course, he beat Azog. So Faramir as the 5 seed in the Final Four. On the other side of the bracket, what do we got? Ah, yes, Aragorn against the Olog High. That's the 2 versus the 3 seed on the right-hand side of the bracket here. Aragorn. Let's start him from the beginning. As the 2 seed, he defeated Shelob, representing evil creatures in that first round. He went on to face his foster father, Aragorn. Aragorn faced Elrond, his foster father, defeated him, went on to face the little bit elven upstart, the 7 seed Thranduil. And in a really, really good fight that you can go back and watch on YouTube if you've missed it. Go back and watch that one. That one's a good one. Aragorn defeats Thranduil to advance to the Final Four. The Olog High, meanwhile, who did he have in the first round? no one but Helm Hammerhand. And these are the 3 seeds, by the way. So after winning that first one, Olag High against Helm, he advanced to take on the dwarf Dain Ironfoot from the Iron Hills, defeated him, and then last night defeated the Battle White to go to the Final Four. Which brings us to tonight's fights. And as mentioned, we have Balin against Faramir. Famous character from The Hobbit against famous character from The Lord of the Rings. Right, Balin, well, technically, he wasn't in he didn't appear in the Lord of the Rings, but he was kind of there anyway, right? Because Balin's tomb is a famous scene from the Moria chapter of the books and the movies, right? When they go into Moria, into Khazad-dûm, Balin, of course, he had led an expedition after the events of The Hobbit to try to liberate Khazad-dûm. I guess they were feeling pretty confident after their liberation of Erebor, and he said, I'm getting old up there in years. I think I've got one more adventure left in me. If I bring a bunch of young whippersnapper dwarves with me from the Iron Hills and from Erebor, maybe we can liberate Khazad-dûm from the nasty Balrog that's inhabiting it. It did not work, right? We know from the events of the Fellowship of the Ring, the first book of the Lord of the Rings, that mission was doomed because when the Fellowship goes in there and kind of retrace some of the steps of Balin's expedition, they find Balin's tomb. And the really cool sort of bone-chilling scene with the book in the watch chamber of the Dwaro Delve inside the Hall of Kings inside Khazad-dûm there. And it's basically their log of things slowly deteriorating as the mission goes south. They encounter orcs, they encounter trolls, and finally the Balrog comes out and wrecks the balance of the dwarves. Although we established, Farmer Chucky, I think it was you, or Engine Chief, or someone ended up saying that Balin actually was not slain by the Balrog the same way Durin was. He was slain outside of Moria, near the Miromir, which is on the eastern side of the Misty Mountains, at the opposite side that the Fellowship had gone in. In other words, the side that the Fellowship exits on their way to Lothlorien, right? So apparently he was slain out there.
Yeah, by like an orc archer, I believe.
I think that's right. Yeah. Yep, so that's Balin for you. And of course, yeah, Faramir, very well-known character. Not too much to say about him other than, one of our better hybrid fighters here. He being, of course, the younger brother of Boromir, younger son of Denethor, steward of Gondor. And so these folks have Númenórean blood, but they got to dig a little deeper than the Aragorns and the Arathorns of the world that are direct descendants of the Númenóreans, right? Faramir and the house, you could call it the House of Denethor, right? The House of the Stewards. Definitely Númenórean blood going way back, right? And Faramir is a cool character, both because of his lineage and because of his heroic arc, right? The less desired son ends up making good in the end, surviving the War of the Ring. And then in a cool twist, marrying Éowyn and joining the houses of Rohan and Gondor again after the kingship of Éomer. So those two kingdoms, Rohan and Gondor, in the Fourth Age would be linked by blood, as well as in treaty and friendship and alliance and all that. So Faramir, cool guy. Balin, cool guy. Who shall win? Chucky, what say you?
Well, my heart says Balin, but I don't know. Faramir, with his hybrid ability, scares me, obviously, and has that ranged ability. Also, I don't know. Dwarves are just a little. I imagine. Yeah, here we go. Yeah, Faramir just has more agility, obviously. So, I mean, it'll be close, but yeah, I don't know. If I had to put a bunch of money on it, I might say just in this fight. Okay, my kid is pitching in. In this fight particularly, I would say Faramir, honestly, if I have to be objective, if you will. But subjectively, yeah, go Balin.
Nice.
Oh, he takes an axe to his neck.
Yes. Well, interesting thing in the top line here, if you read this top line, Balin is going to prefer ranged combat in this with hunkin' daggers instead of using his mattock.
Yeah, I kind of forgot that he does that a lot.
But, you know, through this tournament, I typically say that's a bad decision, but through this tournament, it's actually done well for him. If you remember, a couple fell strokes just by, you know, he finds himself in a tough situation and forced to use a ranged attack, and he hunks a dagger. Now, Faramir also going to hang back from range, and I think part of Balin's calculus here is that, you know, he thinks he has a better chance using his armor, relying on his armor, which, as you see here, is one of his advantages. By the way, if you're just looking at this graph here, it's a quick snapshot, basically, of the two characters' quote-unquote Madden stats, right? The stats that drive the battle engine. This just gives you a real quick snapshot of the relative strengths and weaknesses. Green line, Balin. Blue line, Faramir. You can see this this area here representing armor. That one goes heavily in favor of really any dwarf is going to have that over men because their armor's awesome. And Balin, you know, not even one of the more stout armored dwarves, to be honest with you. It's a little diminished from some of the other characters, but still an 83. So he's still got great armor. And deflection here, 76. That's against ranged attacks. So I think Balin, you know, he might be onto something here. His sample size that the algorithm and Balin is drawing from here is a round robin preseason where everyone fights everyone. That's our data set, right? So if we show you guys this just one more time before the fight, I promise we won't make you wait too long, but this is worth showing. If you click on any characters in the bracket here, so go to MiddleEarthMadness.com, click on your bracket. Left side is what we're dealing with first here. This is Balin. If you click on any of the characters, it brings up, slowly apparently, it brings up their character card, and you can see Balin, 9-22, and this guy's in the final four. Why? Well, look at some of his key victories. Out of those 9, he slew Khamûl, Galadriel, Shelob, and Thranduil. So 4 of those 9 were against relative studs. Maybe not Thranduil, but all the others, right? And you can see here his stats, but also, you know, how he performed in the regular season there. Now, Faramir, the higher seed, Faramir, the higher seed here, the 5, 15-16, you know, mediocre record. Also, though, able, probably with his ranged attack, to defeat Glorfindel, Dane, Olag High, and the Watcher, right? So some nice victories. Faramir's stats, again, as we mentioned, he is a hybrid fighter. He's just about as good at melee as he is with his bow from range. He's very accurate with his bow, 80, and decent with the piercing. Of course, he doesn't have any enchanted elven arrows or anything like some of the real heavy hitter ranged, you know, elven archers, Legolas and up into your first stage elves. By the way, if you're Silmarillion fans, stay tuned for our fall tournament. We'll get you all your first stage characters, throw them into the fight, and you can see, you know, Beleg Strongbow against Luthien and Calagon the Black against Turin Turamba, if you like, right? So all those ridiculous studs. That's where you get your 99 stats more reliably across the board, right? They're first stage characters, and the third age is greatly diminished in power from that first stage in Tolkien's lore. Just as a reminder there. So that's why I say for this tournament, 80 is pretty good. 69 piercing is pretty good for an archer, right? Faramir's relative disadvantage is defense. certainly compared to Balin. He's got 94 Valor, which will help him resist. That's 1/3 of each attack that actually lands and does damage. That's 1/3 of his ability to resist damage is his Valor. But other than that, only mediocre toughness, good elusiveness. 72 is pretty good elusiveness. 60, not great armor. Could be worse, though. Some armor, at least. He's got that, Ranger leather on. Does something for you. And his dexterity and deflection is meh, right? So, have we beat that one pretty much to death? Are we ready to fight?
Let us fight.
Indeed. First fight of the Final Four. Cue it up. And let us fight. In our first fight of the Final Four, we have Balin against Faramir. Let us fight. Winners go into the championship. First attack goes to... Whoa, hold on. We're not sharing the right screen. My bad. Keep it clean. All right, there we go. You guys can see this now. So let's try this again. Let us fight. First attack is going to Faramir with the bow. Strike, but fails to do any damage. Back comes Balin. A dagger throw. Misses. Faramir counters. A hit. No damage. Back comes Balin. A hit. Again, they're hitting, but no damage so far through 4 rounds. 5th round, Faramir counters. Another hit. No damage. Off the Dwarven armor. Now Balin's turn. He engages. Can't hit. Faramir. A strike. A hit. No damage. He was forced to use his Sword of Gondor. Apparently, he was a little too close for missiles, switching to guns there. To no avail. And back comes Balin. A hit. No damage. Faramir counters, attacks. Cannot engage. Comes Balin. A hit and a wound. First blood for the dwarf. With a dagger throw. And it does damage indeed. Balin with the advantage through 10 rounds. Now, up comes Faramir, dusts himself off, counters. And he draws some blood in retaliation, but only minor damage. A tink, 1.7, but slight scratch there for Balin. Balin's turn. He wounds another 2.3, not much, but a stroke there with the Dwarven Mattock to take Faramir to 70 damage. Now the Ranger of Ithilien comes back. He engages, but he cannot hit. Balin counters. A hit! No damage with the dagger throw. Deflected by Faramir. Faramir counters. Nothing. And a counter stroke by Balin again with the dagger throw. Only slight damage, chipping away. Now Faramir's turn. Oh, he's forced to use his sword. He engages, cannot hit. We might be in here for a long one here, Chucky. Fasten your seatbelt.
Yep.
And they're dancing. Another slight stroke there. Faramir gets a shot off, and damage is done to the tune of 4.5. Now, Balin counters. Engages, can't hit. Faramir. Engages, can't hit. Balin can't even engage. Faramir, a hit and a wound. Only 3. That piercing is largely being countered by the good dwarven armor there of Balin. Now, can Balin score some more damage against the wily Ranger of Ithilien? He attacks. He engages, cannot hit. Back comes Faramir. A hit, no damage. Balin, nothing. Faramir, nothing. And a hit and a wound there by Balin. What kind of damage is it? Oh. He plants a dagger deep in Faramir's belly. Oh no! The Ranger is on a little bit of life support here in the 28th round. Balin's got him on the ropes, much to Farmer David's pleasure. Now, Faramir, now or never. Gets himself up, pulls the dagger from his belly, perhaps. He's not an orc, so he doesn't lick the blood off, but, throws it in the dirt. knocks an arrow, shoots, misses. Back comes Balin, misses. Back comes Faramir, hits. Does not penetrate the dwarven armor. Back comes Balin, can't engage. Faramir, nothing. Balin, a hit, a wound, 3 more damage. Now only 8 points of health left for Faramir. Now or never for the ranger. He needs a fell stroke here. Perhaps an arrow through the eyeball. He attacks. Hits! Off the armor. Balin counters. Hit and a wound down to 5! Faramir's not out of the fight. But you are never out of the fight unless, of course, you are slain. And he's very near that place. So, last chance for Faramir here, perhaps. A hit. No damage. Deflected. Now back comes Balin. Engages, can't hit. Faramir can't even engage. Balin engages, can't hit. Faramir. And they're dancing through 40 rounds. A hit and a wound there by Faramir. Just no damage. The bow not doing enough against the dwarven armor.
Yeah.
Back comes Balin. Nothing. Faramir engages, can't hit. Balin. And Balin's playing with his food a little bit. He's not finishing him. Where is the death stroke? Is it coming? Faramir's turn. He hits again. Good accuracy, but not enough piercing apparently for the dwarf. Can't wound him. Balin counters. A hit, no damage. Faramir can't even hit. And they're dancing again. Another hit there by Faramir with the sword. He's trying both modes of attack and nothing's working. But can Balin finish him? He hits. Not enough. Doesn't do any damage. Back comes Faramir. A hit, no damage. Balin, a hit and a wound. Is it enough? Slay.
Very well.
Balin, the dwarf of Erebor, is going to the championship. Everyone totally had that in their brackets, right?
Heck yeah. Well, no, but heck yeah.
An 8 seed is officially in the final game in the championship. So that's why we love the madness here in Middle-earth Madness. I promise that was an unlikely run, right? If you're unfamiliar with the battle engine, it's worth kind of telling you real quick why that was so unlikely. We've already mentioned that each character has Madden stats that drive this battle engine, right? And in this particular tournament, more than most, I think it's probably fair to say that characters are more closely matched. From a 1 to an 8 seed isn't as extreme a difference as a 1 to a 16 that you'd see in like a 60-40 team field. And so we kind of deliberately paired these guys by, the top 8 dwarves that we could think, the top 8 for any race, and then top 8 that we could think of, but again, not first age guys. Second and third age, elves, dwarves, men, and evil creatures. And this is kind of how it shook out. But I was just going to show you the battle flow. This is what happened. This is what has to happen, for characters to win, to score damage points. That's the name of the game, and to ultimately slay their opponents. Right? All these rolls have to land, and so you have to roll, quote unquote. They're not real dice, but the algorithm is rolling computer, AI dice, if you will. You have to roll to engage. Only if that's successful, follow those bold pink arrows in the middle. Only if that's successful can you then roll to strike. Only if that's successful can you then roll to wound. Only if that's successful do you then roll for damage. And then there's a determination of 3 battle stats average to determine how much damage you do. Right. So there is a lot of randomness here. My point being, there's a lot of randomness in the battle. It's in any battle, right? But it's still driven by these character stats that we looked at with the character cards here, right? So for Balin, that whole battle flow that you were just shown is driven by these stats at the bottom of the card. And by the time he's fighting Faramir, they're not so different than Faramir's, but they were very different than Durin's, for example, in that fight in the last round. And there was significantly different than, well, not than Bard's. Excuse me. So, yeah, there was really only very different than Durin. So that's the battle he should have lost, but he pulled the upset. And then the weird thing about this format is, it's actually kind of backwards in the sense that you fight your own seeds in these earlier rounds, and those are closer matches. And then that should have been the beatdown in the quarterfinals and wasn't, right? And so then it gets kind of even again based on what Faramir did, because he also pulled an upset. There should have been a 3 seed coming out down here, that being Boromir. But Boromir, a 4 seed, excuse me, decided to lose to Faramir, right? And so anyway, that's a lot of words just to say pretty nice little upset run by Balin, but maybe not the upset run that you're used to for an 8 seed making a Final Four run. Clear as mud? Cool. Who fights next? Yes. Aragorn against the Olag High of Mordor. Initial thoughts on this one while I pull it up. Farmer David.
Should be a fun one. Kind of reminds me of, I guess, the encounter in the fight in Balin's Tomb, the skirmish that they had with the goblins there, the orcs of Moria, and then they, I kind of not confuse them, but I go back and forth between the movie version and the book version, which are kind of different.
Yeah.
But anyways, in the movie version, they kind of all have that big tangle with the troll, but in the book, it was more that large orc captain.
That's right.
That Aragorn, kind of goes 1v1 with after Frodo is wounded, or so they thought. So yeah.
I thought you were also going to say though that in the movie version, well, in the book, he also tangles with an Olag High at the Black Gates at Morannon.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And that was maybe this exact fight, right? So, of course, Aragorn gets the better of the Olag High there, but maybe not a fair fight, right? Distracted, not really by a hobbit stabbing him in the toe in the in the book version.
Yeah.
But distracted by, I think, Frodo ultimately destroying the ring in the middle of that fight.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, that's probably the better example.
Yeah, but a cool one nonetheless. And how it shakes out here in our battle engine is very even, as I'll show you right now. 3 seed versus a 2 seed here. So let's see how they did. Aragorn, our higher seed, 21-10 in our round robin. Took care of business, earning that 2 seed by defeating Durin, Círdan, Shelob, Gil-galad, and, many others to get him up to 21. Key losses, not any bad ones at all. I mean, no shame in losing one to Galadriel. The Barrow-wights fairly stout. Éomer, yeah, you lose more of those. Excuse me, he should have won. He'll win more of those than he loses. And then Azog, one of the more powerful orcs in the field, very ferocious. Aragorn, not bad at anything on offense. Just look at those stats. Pretty stacked. Hell, even his ranged attack, it doesn't his piercing is only 61, but his aim on that bow is not bad, and that's, deliberate. He's, of course, raised by Elrond and trained with Elladan and Elrohir, members of the Grey Company. He, of course, a Ranger of the North before he reclaimed the throne. He's got archery skills as well. So if he's forced to use his ranged weapon, he can handle business. On defense, not quite so stout, but certainly no slouch. 98 Valor, he's damn near maxed out in terms of bravery. That's 1/3 of his ultimate ability to resist damage. 80 toughness, very good. Very elusive with 75. His armor sucks, okay? No real armor. That's not how he's going to win. But decent spirit, the Númenórean blood, after all. And then some decent dexterity. And again, no deflection. Well, subpar deflection, subpar armor. Now let's see how that stacks up against the Troll of Mordor. 18 and 13, earning a 3 seed. Hey, look at this. He defeated Aragorn in the round robin, as well as Glorfindel and Shelob and the Watcher in the Water. He has more bad losses than Aragorn, though. He lost to Bard, that's an 8 seed. Anything can happen with those archers, though, right? From range, if you like we said earlier, if you get a lucky one through the eyeball, one's all you need. He also lost to Imrahil, Faramir, the Barrow Wight. Now, the main battle stats that the troll is going to really depend on is pretty much maxed out ferocity combined with very good striking. I mean, he's brute force. He's a tank, right? Not as bad of stamina and agility as you'd think maybe for an armored troll. And also for an armored troll. Keep in mind also, magic is at 50. He could do worse than 50, right? And the reason for that is because Sauron, with his foul craft, if you want to call it, that he sort of, in my mind, stole from Saruman through the Palantir. Keep in mind, they're both Maya, and they both helped each other. And Sauron was scouting Saruman just as much as the other way around, and ultimately Sauron won the mastery of Saruman, but not before learning what he was doing with those Uruk-hai and Isengard. And that's the process by which Sauron was ultimately able to do the same thing with trolls to create this race of Olag-hai. And so this guy has 50 magic too, which, is better than you might think, right? It's better than a cave troll, for example. On defense, 83 armor, right? These are armored trolls, although you can't really see that from the picture there. We maybe need to get a new art file here with some armor, try to get this guy decked out. We'll work on that. Or maybe this guy's just changing, right? He's not really ready for battle. We caught him with a candid shot. But he's got some armor, he's got some toughness, and he's got some valor. And with that, we welcome T-Camp to the show. How you doing, Campy?
Not bad. Out and about, but trying to catch what's going to happen here.
Yes, indeed. We're about to throw down man versus troll. We were just saying, technically, this is a replay from at least from the movies, and I think a similar scene in the books where Aragorn does start squaring off against an Olag-hai troll at the Battle of Morannon to distract Sauron from, Frodo and Sam climbing Mount Doom and give them the chance they need to make that little that jumper to toss the ring in that ultimately never happens because of Gollum, right? So that was a cool scene, and we're fixing to replay that. Now, Aragorn might have revenge on the mind because the Olag-hai won this fight in our round robin. So, Campy, who you got?
You got to hang with my brother, man, Aragorn.
Got to.
People say we look a lot alike, so that's why I have to go that way.
Hey, man.
Yeah, he was a, per the book, he was like a solid 5'6", right? A little portly.
Is that how you picture him?
Well, that's right. I mean, isn't he only half Dunedain?
Full Dunedain, but not full elf. Yeah, he was raised by half elves.
No, I'm messing around. But yeah, I think Aragorn would be. He's not that.
Man.
So I got nothing.
Half elf and half pig.
Exactly. Half man, half elf, and half pig. Man, elf, pig.
Yes.
Do me a favor, please. Get out of here. Get out of here, man. Shit, I'm saying.
What he said. All right, and without further ado, let us find out who else is going to the championship. Oh, wait. Chuck, you didn't make your pick. Who you got?
Aragorn.
Aragorn. All right. Then, somebody say it for me.
Let us fight.
second and last Final Four fight for the last spot in the championship. We have, as I share the screen with you guys this time, we have, wait for it, Aragorn against the Olag High. Let us fight. Aragorn with Andúril for the first hit. Does not do any damage. Back comes the troll. Attacks cannot engage with his heavy blade. Now Aragorn attacks. A hit and a wound. First blood to Aragorn with Andúril. Slight smite, but it does 25 damage. Now the troll gets up, enraged, frothing at the mouth perhaps. Up to you. Picture it how you want. I picture him frothing at the mouth, and maybe trying to just pound Aragorn into submission. But will he be successful? He attacks. A hit and a wound! Don't piss off a mountain troll. Don't piss off an Olag High. Aragorn is learning the hard way through 4 rounds. And now the Olag High with a significant advantage. But you are never out of the fight. Back comes Aragorn. He hits, no damage. Olag High counters, can't engage. Back comes Aragorn, and they're dancing through 8 rounds. Back and forth they go, no one doing any damage. Both reassessing, perhaps both considering switching attacks here. Both are bleeding. The Olag High more so than Aragorn. The troll is able to engage but can't do any damage. Aragorn counters, nothing. The Olag High engages, no damage. Aragorn, same thing, circling. A hit and a wound again by the troll! Isn't enough? Slay!
Wow.
And Aragorn goes down in a semi-beatdown as the troll of Mordor is going to the championship.
Well, this is what I said I wanted last night.
Everyone had Balin against the Olag High in the championship, I am sure.
Pretty wild.
Man, Aragorn had the lead for a hot minute, and it did not last because, as we pointed out in the pregame there, with the Olag High, like several other evil characters, is brute force, pure savage rage combined with striking, And he's so damn strong that he doesn't even need a magic sword or anything like Andúril. If he hits you, it's gonna do damage with the ferocity combined with the striking capability that character like that has. So I feel like in retrospect, maybe not the greatest matchup for Aragorn. Those really highly elusive characters like Legolas probably have the best chance against a guy like Olag High. And looking ahead in the championship, I don't know how I like Balin's chances in that one, but they got to fight and see for themselves because I really have no idea at this point. So as we bring back up the bracket, let's make it official. The Olag High of Mordor is going to the championship to face Balin the Dwarf. Let's make it official and... Oh, sorry. Read 'em and weep. Balin against the Olag High. That's crazy, man. All right, fellers. Well, how we doing out there? We've got in our side hustle pool, we've got Patty Man, unable to attend tonight. We were hoping to get him on, but he is now in the lead. Although this does not include tonight's results. Sorry, this is going into tonight. It hasn't updated for tonight's fight. So let's think. Patty Man will not get the points for either victory tonight. Engine Chief will, and so will you, Chucky. So I think you and Engine Chief both just passed Patty Man. Engine Chief definitely did. I think you did too.
Yep, I think so. So we'll probably everything's on the table for the between us two for in the championship.
Yeah, man. And that's what you guys said you wanted. So that's awesome.
Very
All right,
cool.
guys. Tomorrow night's the night. Thursday night, we are fighting for the championship. Balin the Dwarf against the Olog High of Mordor, just as you all called, right? I'm sure. Meanwhile, thanks for tuning in. Get the word out for us, man. Tell a friend. Get your Tolkien friends involved. Follow us on all your favorite social media platforms. We're on all of them. Just search Middle-earth Madness on all of them. You'll be able to find us. Even better than that, go to middleearthmadness.com. You don't have to search. Bottom of each page on the website, you'll see our socials down there at the bottom. Link directly to them. Link to our link tree, and it's got it all there. So whatever platforms you guys are on, so are we, and we will see you over there, and we will hopefully see you tomorrow night for the championship. Any last thoughts, fellas, before we break?
It's a good thing I didn't fill out a bracket. I've been wrong every time.
Dude, I felt pretty good about elves coming into this one, and they're going to finish dead last. Just goes to show you, man, that, you know, these fights, as with real Tolkien lore, you're never out of the fight. And with that, smooth transition to the Gandalf quote that we always close with. Let's see if I can get it right tonight. You can only come to the Nope. I'm having a tough time with this. You cannot... No. You can only come to the morning, except through the shadows. We're going to try this one more time. We got to get it right. You cannot come to the morning, except through the shadows. There it is. And where there is light, there is always hope. Easy for me to say. You are never out of the fight, my friends. And we'll see you for the championship tomorrow night.